And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Pug Thomson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Happy New Year to you, my man Josh, and to everybody that's going to tune in to the Weighing In podcast. We hope that your 2024 is unbelievable. Only good things happening. Well, if that happens, it's amazing. But I hope that your 2024 is fantastic. How was your New Year's celebration?
It was good. It was first time here in Texas and enjoying it with some friends that we have here that actually moved from California and moved from Georgia and moved from New York and everyone that was kind of from different states. And it was a good time. We had a great time. It was relaxing. Kids were running around playing, and we had the little area set up with, the confetti and the little makeshift hats and the glasses and all the stuff you do for New Year's. It was good. We had a great time, man. It was relaxed. It was chill. A lot of food, and I'm on the no drink thing, so it's it was kind of you don't realize how much alcohol keeps you awake.
Did you kill your screen?
Dark. All that technology.
Oh,
everything
man. Jeez, please hold, ladies and gentlemen. Please hold.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to let this go. We are not going to take this off. This is Josh's beautiful big screen that he put in there for this fantastic weighing in background, and it has failed him.
Remember, I literally told him, keep the iPad beside you so you can keep that on the screen.
You told him, Dave. But then again, how many times does he listen?
Negative times.
So, as we said, we hope your 2024 is fantastic because Josh's is already falling apart.
Well,
typical. It is typical. I love it.
Horrible,
so much for
man.
technology. It's great, but it just doesn't work for us.
No.
And Josh, while you're at it, turn your headphone dial to like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock as well.
Turn my what down?
Your headphone dial to like 10 o'clock as well.
You're a 10 o'clocker.
It's cranked up right now. I can hear it.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I haven't touched it, but yeah. All right. Well, let's try to start this thing over again, right? I mean,
no.
We're not starting it over, but I'm saying let's get restarted. I should say.
Thank you very much. I like that. Obviously, that no alcohol and no eating is making everything fall apart there quickly.
It's so difficult, man. It's so difficult.
Woo. That's why I have those people, say, oh yeah, just do this. It's a 5-day water fast. You can do it. It's easy.
Yep.
And I think of going fucking 5 days without eating, and I go, no,
it's not easy.
To do that. No, that's not easy.
Well,
I have a headache.
Well, that's kind of what I'm going through right now. I'm coming up on the end of my second day, and it's just one of those things where I'm doing fine without the food. I just keep putting water into me, and then I was told that you can do like I do like electrolytes. You do like a little thing with electrolytes in it. I'll do some electrolytes and water, and then I'll do a little bit of bone broth. So it's just water with bone broth in it. So I'll do that. But that's all I've done so far the last 2 days. And so it hasn't been bad. It's just seems like towards the end of the day, I get a little bit of the headache. And like I'm getting a little one earlier, probably about an hour ago, I started getting one. And it's not too bad though. It's not like when I had COVID. COVID was the shit. That fucking headache was the worst. I never was someone that really got headaches. But man, that headache was the worst. It was definitely the worst. But I mean, here we are.
I've done good with no headaches until my neck stuff. And boy, that was it. That's when you learn. Yep, this is what headaches are. Just wake up with them.
Yeah, I've heard that. What's funny is when I went in I had a pinched nerve, and I had the nerve that pinched down my arm, and my 3 fingers were numb. Like these 3 fingers right here were numb. It went all the way down my arm. So I go into the doctor. He's like, yeah, I'll do like an epidural. Like we'll just basically kind of like numb the nerve a little bit. And then hopefully that'll bring the inflammation down and go from there and see if that works. I'm like, all right, cool. So I went in, got it done. Perfect. Like within 24 hours, no pain. All the numbness was gone, everything. He's like, all right, that's great. He's like, it may come back though within like a 30 to 40 day period. So just be careful with it. I'm like, all right. Never had the problem again. Knock on wood. That being said, John, when you're talking about, oh, you get headaches, because you start having neck problems. When I was filling out the questionnaire, the first 3 questions on that questionnaire were, are you suicidal? How have you thought about killing? Like, and if you have, what are the ways you've thought about it? And is it like, how often do you think? It was like, those were the first 3 questions. Like, what do you, like, would you have pain? Like, it wasn't any of that. It was, you have neck pain, you have neck problems, and you have numbness. What do you have? Okay. And then it says, are you suicidal? I was like, what the fuck? What the hell? Like that was a reality check for me of people that are dealing with pain. Like when they got low back pain, they got neck pain. They've got these. I was like, wow. That's
it's funny because I'm one of those same guys. All the people that are getting in trouble, go to jail. Hey, I just want everyone. I'm not suicidal. Well, I'm not suicidal in any fashion. Yeah. I have there is no ever thought. But I'll tell you what, when I was going through the bad part of my neck, before I really was able to get some of it fixed, because I was getting the same thing, the stinger going down my arm, but it would fire off, and it would fire off for about 5 seconds, up to 15, and then it would go away for about 5 seconds, and then it would start right back up.
Got it.
And I did not sleep. I mean, it was nasty, and it's like one of those I can understand. So I can't deal with this. It's either I got to get fixed or I'm going away, because man, this is not something that you can just sit here and live with forever. So it's quality of life.
That's kind of
about quality.
I can't imagine if I had that numbness in my hand, in my arm, down my arm, into my hand, my whole life. Oh, it'd be horrible. It was just horrible. But back to New Year's. Let's talk about some good stuff, man. New Year's here was great. They did a light show downtown. It was beautiful. It was actually done with drones. It was a really cool light show that they did with drones. It was awesome. I didn't know what I didn't realize though is that people here, I saw people just pull over on the side of the highway, and they were like staking their spot for like to watch the drone show from the highway, because you can see downtown from there. So they just pulled over on the side of the road and started watching it from there. I'm like, this doesn't seem safe, but everyone just kind of stopped in the roads. It was like right around that time. They actually showed clips of it on TV about how people were just stopping their cars on the highway or on the roads just to watch the shows, the light show, the fireworks to take in the New Year. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how safe that is, but
got to get the best seat right off the highway, man.
Absolutely. How was your New Year's?
My New Year's was boring as hell as far as the New Year's Eve. I mean, it was like my daughter took off from Michigan with her family and stuff to go up there to see people. And I was just like, hey, what are we going to do? Hey, let's go out to dinner. Okay, we went out to dinner. Hey, what are we going to do? Nah, I'm just going to watch TV.
Did you make it to midnight?
I made it to midnight and said goodbye.
Did Miss McCarthy make it to midnight?
No, she did not.
She did not.
No, she did not. No, she said, screw this, I'm tired, I'm out.
Do you look at me?
But see, hold on. Miss McCarthy, I got to give her big props.
She's been married to you for 40 years. Absolutely.
Damn straight. You talk about what a lucky person she is.
Jeez.
It's amazing.
Please.
But, look at my wife did not, ever, put in for being a farmhand. And man, she's up at 7 o'clock in the morning with me, freezing outside, 25 degrees, shoveling cow shit and just being a farmer. We're cleaning chicken coops. I'm feeding pigs. She's doing the chickens. We go over to the goats, take care of the goats, then go to the cows and the donkeys. And you know what? My hat's off to her, because she puts up with all that shit and she's handling it well, but she does not make it long into the night. The night is not part of her equation anymore. She goes, I'm out.
She's not making dinner for young kids anymore. She don't care. She's like, all right, just you can take care of yourself.
Yeah, you're on your own. But yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, well, that's good. Dave, what about you, buddy? I'm not going to leave you out.
Yeah, man.
How was your New Year's?
You know what we did? We pulled up the spreadsheets. We wrote down
spreadsheets. That does not sound like fun either.
Not the bed sheets, the spreadsheets.
Well, then you had a much better night than both of us.
And then we basically planned out our 24. This was we didn't do anything. We sat up with champagne and we just wrote out kind of everything that needs to happen this year.
Ooh, there you go. You're making plans.
The wedding coming up and budgeting and just all that crap. Yeah.
Dave spending the big bucks on the big wedding.
Here it goes. All out the door.
No. He's just like Johnny Denzel out there.
Trying to figure out how to not spend the money. That's why I had the spreadsheets.
Yeah, you're screwed.
Bed sheets.
Good luck.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Good times.
Oh, man. Did the kids make it? Did they make it to midnight?
My kids, no. I had them down by like 8:30. In fact, I didn't let them. They
didn't have a choice.
Yeah, I didn't let them nap on Monday because I was like, I'm gonna get them so tired that they want to go to bed.
Yeah.
I know when my little one says, "I'm tired."
Okay, no problem.
Day. Right to bed.
Exactly.
That's good. I think it was a good 2023 was definitely a different year. I mean, for me, the move was a big deal, here to Texas. I'm still making the adjustments. It just really was a big change. There's a lot of positives, a lot of I wouldn't say a lot of negatives, just different.
Yeah, there was. There's a lot of negatives. Let's be honest.
What's the negative?
We lost our jobs.
Well, I mean, look, John, you've had several
I lost
jobs.
Both of my parents in 2023. That sucked.
That's not good.
That's 2023 was just not a good fucking year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's all good. You know what? You got to make it through all those things.
I lost my dad at a young age. And so I remember that year very, very, very well. It just, it becomes one of those things that the next year, it can't get any worse.
There you go.
And then you just build on from there. I mean, you said us losing our jobs, and I was about to go into this whole thing. Like, John, you and I have had over the years, I don't know how many jobs. I mean, I've had so many jobs. My first job ever that I ever had was at a trap and skeet range. And I was the kid that pushed the button for all the rich guys in the freezing snow, because I was living in Idaho at the time. I was 12 years old. I'd walk, no joke, I'd walk 1.5 miles, kind of on a slight uphill. And then I actually had to take another road back because the slide uphill, especially depending on what time of the year it was, which was normally during the wintertime, it was a little too icy to walk down. And so I had to walk another road back that was a little bit more flat. It wasn't uphill, but it was more flat. The hill that I had to walk going back home, it was too much downhill. So then I actually, and I'm kind of having to walk uphill both ways. Think about it. When I think about it now, but that was but then look, every job progressively got better. Losing a job is normally an opening for something new.
That's it. You just look and go, what comes from it, and make 2024 even better.
I mean, have we technically lost our jobs yet?
No, I just, Bellator was absorbed by the PFL. And so you look and you go, well, they just took the company that I work for.
Yeah.
Where am I going?
But I'm excited to see, we did the year-end show that was our MMA awards show. The show before that, we did a fight breakdown of what fights we would like to see the most the UFC put on a card. And we did the same thing for PFL Bellator with the absorption of Bellator into the PFL. And look, all the time, all we hear is, oh, it'd be so cool if you saw this fighter fight this fighter. Well, now you had two of the bigger promotions, not the biggest, obviously, but Bellator being probably number 2, PFL being number 3, right there. And now you have those two promotions that merged. And we can finally say, hey, now what happens if Sadabusi fights, Jason Jackson, or if you have, Amosov versus Magomed Karamov, or, whoever, but whatever. Those are some names off the top of my head. Yeah. We can finally say, hey, we're going to find out. And it was no different than when Strikeforce went over to the UFC. It's finally we'd be able to see, who these guys are from Strikeforce, how well they would do over there. It was no different than when the WC went into the UFC. It was great because now you get to see if those 55-pounders could tow their weight. And they did. They did just fine. Pettis had a rough start, I think, with Clay Guida. That was
Clay Guida. Yeah. But you got to take a look. I always looked at that, and I was like, why did the UFC want to do that fight? Because if you were going to look at the person at that time, Pettis was coming off of his win over Benson Henderson, You know, the one where he jumped off of the
Yep.
cage and kicked him and thing. And everyone thinks that was a knockout. The fight went to a decision, but he won the title. And then you put him against the person that is his absolute worst matchup. You know, and I was just looking at that one. I was like, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes, you know, there's reasons why they want to do things. But yeah, you take a look at what those people in the WEC at the 155, because there was a 155 class in the UFC and the 155 class in the WEC, nothing below it in the UFC. But, you know, that was there was some guys in that WEC that definitely made their mark. Definitely came out and shined.
I mean, you had so many good guys out of the WC. I mean, I can't even, like, you have Mike Brown that came out of there. Now look at him, one of the best coaches ever. Yeah. You know, you got Benson Henderson, you got Pettis, you've got Pettis. I mean, there were so many good, Uriah Faber. I mean,
Aldo,
Jose Aldo, of course.
Cub Swanson, who's still fighting.
Still fighting. A lot of good fighters out of there. Oh. You know, and you know, I caught some flack a long time ago back in the day. Because I was like, well, look, you know, the UFC owns the WC. And if those guys were any good, they'd be in the UFC.
Yeah, but that's what you got to say back then.
That's what I had to say back then. I was like, you know, but that was more because
okay, but let's look, and you got to be honest about this. You make those comments and you say that, but when you're watching those guys, you go, no, that guy's good.
Well, Donald Cerrone was from there too. He was the guy that I always wanted to fight. And no disrespect to him whatsoever. I had nothing but respect for the guy. He carried himself really well every time I met him or I talked to him or I saw him at events. He was a fan favorite. You know, I kind of knew what I was getting myself, that he was taller. He was kind of tough to deal with. He had good submissions off of his back, as I recall.
Very good ground game.
Very good attacks. He was a very well-rounded fighter. And he would fight whoever. He didn't care. And I always admired him for that. You know, other guys, I didn't really know enough about Benson. I didn't know enough about Pettis. I think right at that time when they were coming up, I was like, oh, yeah, they're flat. You know, not Benson wasn't flashy, but Pettis was kind of flashy. I'm like, he could be taken down. He could be controlled. He could be dominated. Like, that's kind of what my mentality was with him. With Benson, I was like, he just doesn't do anything great that I think that I wouldn't be able to stop. He was just a really good, well-rounded fighter.
Solid everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, like, you look at George St. Pierre, he was never the best anywhere, but he just seemed very good everywhere. And I think that's I kind of took a lot from what I saw from GSP. I was like, I don't have to be the best anywhere. Just got to be very good everywhere. Because if you're very good everywhere, you can exploit someone's weaknesses, and they all have weaknesses. You just got to be able to get to it. Yep. And that's what made GSP so good. You know, I thought Cerrone was, you know, one of the other guys that was never got enough credit was Carlos Condit. You know, he was from
God.
Yeah. He was from the WEC, and he was just
he was the welterweight champion.
Yeah, he was just a savage, man. He just never got the credit he deserved. Never got he was very good. He did get credit, don't get me wrong, but not on the level of which like a Matt Hughes, a GSP, or even BJ Penn when he went to 70. Like all those guys, they just got pumped up so much. And Carlos Condit, he just did everything so well. Was nasty on the ground. Was good on the feet. His fight with Dan Hardy was like, I was just like, oh, what are the most vicious knockouts? And just in an exchange where whoever got whose chin first probably would have won that fight, and it was him. Yeah. And just an overall great performance, great career by Carlos Condit. Anyways, look, I have nothing but. I look back at 2023 and I'm like, man, it was just a lot of emotional roller coasters. I mean, I know for you it was, but it was an emotional roller coaster, you know, not knowing what was going on with Bellator. How much of a problem was that for you? I mean, for me, and now everyone that worked with us we kept hearing that it was going to happen. We knew back in like March, April, people were talking about it. You know, they were talking about it in March and April. Like we knew back in like, I would say probably like late February, March. The joke went around, oh yeah, PFL is probably going to buy us. And then literally like we started hearing within like a couple weeks that PFL was going to buy us. And I was like, and then it was like a month or two later, I think Ariel came out with it or someone came out with it and said that the PFL was looking to buy Bellator. And I was like, oh, like it's, you know, like it was, we already knew that it sounded legit.
It's public info.
It's public info now. I'm like, all right, cool. Cause like it was something we just were not allowed to discuss or talk about or anything like that if we had heard anything. But yeah, I mean, now here we are. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of these fights, John. Some of the PFL Bellator crossover fights, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing. So hopefully we get to be part of it.
There's some good ones in there.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to be part of it and sit cage side and do cage side commentary, whatever it is, because they don't have a desk normally, whereas what I do. But I definitely enjoy the cage side commentary, as you recall. Majority of what you and I did was cage side. We worked together cage side commentary, and then because you didn't like to fly, no, I got stuck doing all the European shows. I wouldn't say I got stuck. I actually really enjoyed going over there. Because those European fighters, to me, John, I don't know what it is about them. When I think of like homegrown fighter, they're just, I don't know. There's something about them that are just good people. I don't know. I feel like there's something different about a European fighter, whether they're from Dublin, whether they're from the UK, whether they're from Italy, something about them that just hits home with me. I don't know. It's weird. I got a lot of love and a lot of respect for them. They've got, they fight their asses off. They say what's on their mind. They're fun. They're fun as hell to be around.
They're funny.
They're funny. They just really all seem like really good people. I've not yet to meet, like I haven't met one that is, that I haven't really clicked with or got along with. Majority of the European fighters, they're all just really good people. Seem like really good people. So
it's what's the funny part for me with them is they all have a background, you know, and obviously everyone has a background, but they have a background that they'll talk about that got them to why they're doing MMA. You know, and you know, some of them are, Charlie Ward is one of my favorite, you know, and Charlie is so funny because he goes, MMA, he goes, hell, I was doing it for free. Why not? Of course, you know, I'm just going to get paid.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, well, that's about it. So
this is true.
But no, they're all good people, and it's fun. It's fun to watch them as they grow as a fighter, and they're all of a sudden they're starting to get a little bit of shine, not from where they're from, which is, you know, people know them, and usually not from England, since England had like Cage Warriors and for a while Bama and things like that. They might be known there, but all of a sudden internationally they start to get known in the States or, you know, in other places. And man, that to them and the way that makes them feel, it's so good to see, because that's their idea. I've made it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just neat to see.
No, it's awesome. And they're just like you said, they're very good people. They're energetic. They're good to be around. Like they're always kind of like the life of the party when you see them afterwards, win or lose. They've always seemed like they've got a good spirit about them. So, yeah. What was your highlights? Give me one or two of your highlights of 2023.
Highlight of 2023. So many low lights. First off, the highlight of 2023 for me is all my grandkids that were born. I'm just going to be honest. I had, two, almost three, but two born. And all I can tell people is, you know, everyone's got their idea of what's important. And I know, you know, when I was young, what I thought was important is not what, you know, I think is important now. But family and taking care of your family and making sure that, you know, they're set up for their future and stuff, that to me is what's important. And I'm able to be around not all of my grandkids, because 3 of my grandkids are still in California. I still am trying to pull them back my way. But I have 3 that are, you know, here. And I mean, I get to spend all the time on the farm. My now he's not my youngest, my second to the youngest grandson, JJ. He lives on the farm with me and stuff. So I get to see him every day. Mm-hmm. And I get to just, you know, have fun with him and watch him laugh. And it's just, there's nothing better, because I don't have the responsibility as a father like you, or as a parent and stuff. So I get to do the fun stuff. I get to be the clown with him. And then when he craps and diaper, here you go. I just hand him right back over.
What a guy. What a guy. I don't miss the diaper stage, bud.
No, don't miss the diaper stage at all. But I think I've cleaned twice. That's it.
That's it. Done.
Twice. Yeah, there was no one else there to hand him off to, so okay, I'll do it. But
all right, I got it. I saw him running around with his new tractor, and he's got his cow in the back and his bull.
Dude, he puts either the bull or the cow. He wants the bull or the cow. He'll drag it over there and stick it in the back, and he drives that thing. He drives the wheels off of that thing. I swear to God, it's hysterical. And he will travel from the house through the fields to all the pens, the animals and stuff. And he's just driving, man. And he's happy. He's just happy driving. And you go to take him off of it. All of a sudden he's not happy. So he's just having fun on it. It's that was, see, again, a stupid purchase like that.
Yeah.
Just to get the joy out of him. It's worth, every little bit.
It's true. It is true. I think, like you said, what you find is it's not the things that were important to you when you were younger are not as important anymore. No. And you find joy in other things, and for me, more so, I find joy in seeing my son play lacrosse, see my daughter hang out, and she's, we were at American Ninja Warrior place today, and the two of them doing their thing, trying to jump from one thing to the next. And it's just little things like that make a big difference. And, and how involved you are, and, doing photos with them, videoing them, seeing how they can improve on things, in the last probably 3 weeks, I've taken, my son out. We're doing sprints at the track now. Like, he is, not me. He is. And,
how those stem cells doing?
Yeah, I can't do anything with the stem cells yet. He is right now, but I will be with him though. I got to get this dad bod's got to go, buddy. It's got to go. It's got to go. This water fast is hopefully going to make a little bit of a difference. And I got to also take care of my body for the next, 30, 40 years. You want to see grandchildren? I want to see grandchildren myself, my man.
There you go.
It's very important. It's very important to try to make it through, the longer you live, the more you get to spend more time with the family that you love. So it's going to be important. John, tell me, what would you like to see as your highlight for 2024? In the fight world, nothing else. Fight world-wise.
Fight world-wise. My highlight is Conor McGregor is actually going to fight, I think. No. It's going to be, I honestly, my highlight is going to be this. I want to see the fighters grow. I want to see the sport grow. I love where MMA is at right now. And Josh, it's a different thing, because, I'm an old guy, and, there's people that, know what I've done. There's people that have no idea what I've done, and doesn't matter to me in either way. But to see something that you were part of in the beginning, and to see where it was, and to see where it is now, and then to kind of look and say, how much farther can it go? How much bigger can it get? And I honestly think in 2024, I think you're going to see a sizable increase in what's happening with MMA. I think that there's so many things that can take place and that are going to take place. There's going to be some magic in 2024. So I look forward to that. I look forward to the whole thing with the PFL taking over Bellator and some of those matchups that can happen. I look forward to UFC 300, the fact that they made it, and when you take a look and say it's UFC 300, it's really like UFC 700 and something or other, let's be honest. But, just the way they've done it and everything, and that's a shining moment and everything. The sport is still growing, and I love the fact that I get to watch that.
You like where the sport is at right now?
Other than, I like where the sport's at. Mm-hmm. I don't like where the fighters are at as far as how they're gaining attention. I don't like, the Colby Covington type of media and what he's bringing to that. And I don't want to put that all on Colby. That's not, all on Colby. It's that style. I can't stand it. That drives me nuts because it's so, there's so many things that are happening. you know, and I can bring up fighters that are doing things with Sean Strickland is one right now that, you know, you take a look and, you know, this is a guy who became a champion. He's my fighter of the year, you know, for when we did our award stuff. I think he has had an incredible 2023, but he's had some moments lately. He had the stupid, you know, incident that happened at the fights with him and DDP. And, you know, that shouldn't have happened, but I kind of understand why it did. And he's had a couple of instances on shows. He had the Theo Vaughn thing. He broke down. And people need to understand, you know, they look at someone like Sean Strickland and they go, oh, you know, he's a, you know, a fighter, you know, he's just, you know, he's a, you know, deadhead. He just, you know, says what he wants. He has feelings. He has memories. He has demons. And those demons sometimes are not his fault. And this happens with a lot of fighters and stuff. And, you know, you take a look and people too many times dehumanize fighters based upon the fact that they go in there and they punch another person and they have no feelings. They have no emotions. It's bullshit. Yeah. Fighters are people. They have problems like everyone else. They have mental breakdowns at times. They have physical breakdowns. They have so many things that are, you know, normal, every day, happens to everyone, but everyone looks at them like, oh, they have to handle it different. They can't handle it different. They're human, you know. And I look at those things, and some of them, when I'm looking to see what DDP does as far as the talk, and if he starts to bring that crap up, then I'm going to put him in the Colby Covington section of you're crossing the line, because everyone has problems.
I mean, do you think people that are listening to this right now are saying, well, Sean's went in on guys like Ian Gary before?
You're right. He did with the whole thing with the wife, but he tried to make it funny. But there's a difference when you take a look at someone and the way they grew up. You know, and you know how your father was, and, you know, I know how my father was. And again, my father was fantastic, but was he perfect? Hell no. You know, and there was things that he did that he was, you know, he was like, you know, there was one incident, I will say, he had something with me, and then he realized he was wrong, and then he started punching himself. You know? And you look back and, you know, he's human. Those things, you know, you can make a mistake. And when you make that mistake, you know, you feel terrible, but you cannot underestimate what someone went through at times and what scarring that did to that person. You know, part of it is what makes them who they are. You know, and one of the things that I learned from my dad was, you know, my dad was on his own basically from the time he was 13 years of age. Okay. And, you know, he made an incredible life for me, for my sister, for my family, as far as, you know, he worked all kinds of jobs. He became very famous for what he did with SWAT and stuff like that. He became someone special. And I learned from him, he goes, never make excuses. I don't care what your background is. You make the decision. Do you want to be good or do you want to be bad? Do you want to be the shithead? Do you want to be the person that helps out? And that's the thing, you know, you as, you know, the kid, you don't get the choice of who your dad is. You don't get the choice of if he's good or not, you know? And when you get the bad one and the one that does things that permanently scar you, those things stay with you. You can suppress them and you can put them, you know, in the back closet and act like they never happened, but they did. And eventually they're going to come out. Yeah. Eventually you're going to have to deal with them. And part of that is what we're seeing.
I think the sport itself, and this goes for a lot of sports, but I'm saying, you know, a lot of kids, they engulf themselves into the sport that they love the most to get themselves out of the things that are going on at home. And so whether it was boxing, kickboxing, soccer, you know, jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter. Look at a lot of the kids that have come from Brazil. They grew up in the favelas. You know, they just immerse themselves in jiu-jitsu because they wanted to leave and get out of there.
Yeah.
A lot of the coaches would just let them train, let the young kids train there if they had talent and they were taking it serious. They would let them train there to get them off the streets. You see it all the time. And fighters are something that is, fighters are people. We know that, but there's a lot that comes along with them. A lot of baggage, almost all of them, and I can speak for myself. There's a lot of baggage that comes with me. And it translates into how hard I trained, how focused I was during certain times, understanding what my goals were, was because I didn't want to go back to this house or go back to this home or and that goes for a lot of these fighters, and they understand why would I want to go back here when I know that I'm having more fun here? Like all my problems, all the things that are in my mind, they're all, I don't even think about them when I'm in this location. If I'm on a basketball court, if I'm on a tennis court, or if I'm on a jiu-jitsu mat or a wrestling mat, they're not even in my mind. All that's in my mind is winning. And it's crazy how sports can do that. Now fighters, they have a little bit more baggage, I think, than most football players, most basketball players, or tennis players, golf players, whatever it is. They tend to carry a little bit more baggage. Majority of them we're just cut from a different cloth. And I would say majority of them didn't grow up in nice areas, two-parent homes, those type of things. Yeah. And it translates into how hard they fight, how hard they train, and they give their all in that. And they display their emotions on there. I mean, we've seen fighters break down after fights, winning and losing, because it's so much went into it and where they've come from. I mean, I just about broke down when I heard Pantoja's interview afterward when he
won that title and things he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't feel for that guy and understand what he's doing, everything that he did to get to that point is to prove to somebody, I have value. I'm good.
Yeah.
And it's, if there was one thing I wish that, fighters did more of, and you bring up like the NFL, the best part about the NFL is it's a business, and the players that make it understand it's a business, and they treat it like a business, and they do the work that is needed to stay and be part of that business. Where many times fighters, they're just so good, they don't put in that work. And it happens with NFL players too. They're so talented that they can make it for a while, but you can't stay if you don't have that work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see that. And I always want fighters to look at that and mimic and understand, hey, don't take this for granted. Don't look at this like it's going to last forever. Use everything you can to make what you can and be what you can, but treat it like the business that it is, and treat it with respect, and don't slack off.
Mm-hmm.
Easy to say.
Well, I would like to see I think the highlight for me in terms of 2024, what I'd like to see is how the crossover happens with the PFL and Bellator. I want to see the fighters get the best opportunities they can to shine. I want to see them raised to a higher level, as high as they possibly can. And as for the UFC guys, I think it's a great time right now for you guys to be there. It's a great time for you guys to get exposure. You've got the biggest marketing tool behind you guys, marketing your guys' platform. It's how you guys make yourself shine is what's going to elevate you to the next level. Chael had brought this up, I think, a couple of times. Don't waste your opportunity in front of that mic by saying, yeah, Dana, whoever he wants, da-da-da. No.
Whatever you guys want.
Have somebody in mind. These are the two guys. You know what? If he's not ready, I want this one. Have them in mind, because what you're doing is you're making the matchmaker's job a lot easier, and they're going to remember that. You know what? That is a good fight. That's a guy that interests him. Okay, let's get it going. Now you might get rebutted, obviously, by the matchmakers or by Dana, but at least you planted the seed that that's a fight that I'm looking forward to, and they keep that in the back of their mind. All of that, the crossover. I'm interested to see what happens with Francis, what he does in boxing. It's
so funny. I was looking at something today because Eddie Hearn is the management basically and promoter for Anthony Joshua, and before there was ever the Ngannou fight with Fury, it's ridiculous joke. Shouldn't happen. No, we would never do something like that. I just saw today Eddie Hearn saying, what a stupendous and incredible fight that would be. Think about selling that. It would be unbelievable. I'm like, oh, now it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it is, that would be the lead up to that fight. Man, look out. Francis is in that position right now. That's a good position to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Options.
Yeah.
Sometimes options are, they're always good. Sometimes, you don't know exactly which direction to go, but they're always good. But everybody wants this guy named Francis Ngannou right now. And that's good for him because he's a good guy.
Well, I look at it as fighters, like you said, options. And they just went right to me saying, fighters, if you're in the UFC or if you're in PFL or if you're in Bellator, this is one of those years where you need to set yourself apart and take a look at your options.
Oh, yeah.
And I've said this, I don't know how many times, with Anthony Rumble Johnson, one of the biggest things was to leave. I mean, he got released, but he left, went to the World Series of Fighting, did a great job, came back, found what weight class he wanted to fight at, and had a great career, and then he asked for his release from the UFC. He got his release, came over to Bellator to enter the tournament. Had a very shaky first fight, but he still got the win. It was in the tournament and, was supposed to get into the semifinals and then got sick and ill. But what I'm saying though, is that he made a lot more money exploring the options, going somewhere else, and fighting, making a name for himself, winning there, and then coming back to the UFC and then being offered a lot more money. The options are out there for everyone. Yeah. So don't just think that if I fight here, that I'll never make it there. Or don't just think if I'm already here, I want to stay here. No, sometimes leaving and coming back is a better idea.
Sometimes
as long as you know that you're good. If you take a look at what's out there, I can make this much more.
It's also, like, no matter what, if you leave, if you're in the UFC and you leave and you go somewhere else, you're gambling on yourself.
Yeah.
Who better to gamble on? Who's in control of it? Yeah. You're the one in control of it. So those are those situations, man. It is get to that point where you have the ability to be in control and do it.
True. So. All right. Well, hey, we've rambled on long enough for about 40 minutes, I think.
I know.
40 minutes.
Podcast Dave now is pulling his hair
He's just like,
right
come on. Can we get to the fight talk? Let's get to the money talk.
I was actually trying to find a picture of Mike Perry. I saw something with him and like a stack of money recently. Oh. I don't know if this was it, but I was just thinking, and you guys were talking about that. Like, he's a prime example. He left with no name, right? Almost no name, and now he's one of the most talked about guys, kind of in the mainstream for combat sports right now.
Mike Perry found his home. Mike Perry is sitting now in a position where everybody wants to, be around Mike Perry. They want, you want to fight Mike Perry? No.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest, not that one. But Mike Perry has proved, but again, he bet on himself. He went there. He took a fight. I think it was Julian Lane was his first fight. Put on a great performance. Julian Lane actually fought a great performance himself. And then he goes and he fights MVP. Right? Then he goes and he fights Luke Rockhold. Then he goes and he fights Eddie Alvarez. And he has made it. He has made where he has taken over an entire promotion.
That's great.
That promotion is got Mike Perry's face all over it. And he owns it right now. You look at that and you go, way to go, dude.
They're absolutely insane. I'm a huge fan of this sport, man. This bare knuckle thing's got me. It's got me in really.
It's great.
Yeah, it's
different. It's not what people think.
No, it's fast action. It's quick rounds. They come out swinging. They toe the line. I love this whole concept of what they're doing. The fighters are fighting their asses off. It's a bloody mess. You know, you're going to end up with some scars, some missing teeth. But it's just, I don't know. It's just, it makes me feel, look, I grew up fighting a lot in the streets. Streets, nightclubs, bars, didn't matter. I was fighting, you know, and it didn't matter. But this gives me that throwback of it gives you that energy of there's nothing controlling you anymore. There's no gloves on my hands. This is real. Like if my hand makes contact with your face, it just feels different. If you've never been in a street fight, a real street fight, like training MMA is one thing. You got the padded gloves on, you're sparring with 16-ounce gloves, you're wearing the MMA gloves. It's not the same.
No.
If you think it's the same, take a look at Luke Rockhold. Tell me it's the same.
No.
Okay, his fight with Mike Perry, it's not the same. These are different type. It's a different type feeling when you get hit, cracked with
There's
knuckle
a different
on.
mentality to it.
Yeah, just knuckle to the eyebrow. It's not the glove. It's not the. I mean, the UFC got rid of the bare knuckle. I mean, broken hands, but not only that, but a lot more cuts. And there's a reason why they got rid of it. You know, they needed something to make. I'm sure it had something to do with the sanctioning too, to make it more not so brutal. I mean, hey, let's put some gloves on, but you still got to be able to grapple. And the whole adjustment of trying to make those gloves right, and it had an impact on whether the sport got legalized in Nevada and other states. But it's just a different style of fighting. I love what bare knuckle's doing right now. I love it. You know, they got to get a couple more guys and some other females in there. Yeah. But I saw Paige Van Zandt. She's going to be making her return.
Is she going to make a return?
She's going to make a return again. I mean, she's crushing on OnlyFans. I mean, so she's going to do a fight. That lets you know that she still likes fighting. All right. Well, let's see it.
Right.
So I'm all for it. Before we get speaking of OnlyFans, let's go right into OnlyFans.com/weighing-in, OnlyFans.com/weighing-in. Head on over there and check us out. We dropped a couple little extra videos over there for you guys during the holiday season. I dropped a couple little videos as well with the stem cell treatments. And so check those out. If you guys are interested in doing the stem cell treatments, hit me up in my DMs on my Instagram at @TheRealPunk. I keep thinking it's Big John McCarthy, but it's not, because I always type in Big John and it comes up. It's John McCarthy MMA, and on Instagram and on Twitter, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I'm The Real Punk on Instagram and Twitter as well. Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button on the OnlyFans.com/weighing-in. Subscribe there. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you guys are listening to us right now. Subscribe to us here. Hit the thumbs up and the little bell for notifications. Thank you guys so much. Let's go, Dave. Give us some news, buddy.
Yep. So right before New Year's, Conor McGregor put out a tweet saying that he will be announcing his fight date and opponent on New Year's Day. He ended up posting a video from dinner, and he said that he's returning June 29th.
Oh, Dr. Evil with the laugh. What a goofball. Did you watch the video, John? No. It was so funny. The way he laughed at the end, it was the guy who it was like Dr. Evil. It really was. That's all I could think of. I was waiting for him to go. It was so funny. It was just like, it was hilarious. Anyways, sorry, Dave.
Oh, you're good. And so he first said returning June 29th, International Fight Week, opponent Michael Chandler, and then right before the laugh he said at 185 pounds, and so that was the reason for the laugh, I think.
Oh, jeez.
Do you think it's going to be at 185?
I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't. Chandler walks around about 190. I mean, I don't think. I mean,
185.
I don't think Chandler wants to fight. I don't think Conor is going to make 55. And I think Chandler... I don't think he'll
make 55. I think it'll be at 170.
But I think Chandler has waited this long, and he is waiting for his red panty night. He's waited this long, and he's going to keep holding out. he keeps believing this thing's going to happen, and maybe it is.
I'm being honest. I said forever, this fight's not going to happen. And I really thought that it would be Michael Chandler that would finally say, screw it. You're not worth it. I'm going to go on with my career. I'm going to fight, and Michael Chandler has bit onto this like a bulldog.
Yeah.
And is not letting go, man. You know the dogs that are hanging from the trees and they're just hanging. Well, that's Michael Chandler biting into those red panties and not letting go. He's just like, hey, okay.
Yeah.
I really thought that he would give in and say, screw this. I'm letting my career, run by, waiting for someone who I don't know if he's ever going to fight. And so he's I guess going to get his fight. We'll see. Still doesn't mean that this is the fight we're going to see, but I don't even think the UFC wants to see it at 185. And it's not, neither guy is a 185-pound fighter. They don't have the frames for it. If you take a look at these guys and you put a real 185er against them, you're going to look and go, holy shit. Obviously they don't belong there, but if, they're both lightweight fighters, and if they could match up at 185 and do the fight, I don't know what kind of output you would get from them. I don't know, because they would be trying to be heavy. And when you're trying to be heavy, that's not a good thing either, because you're putting on excess weight at times. When George St. Pierre was going to fight Bisping, and he was trying to put on weight. But when he was really in camp, he kept losing weight. His body was responding the same way it always did, and he had a natural basic, 12, 13-pound cut. And I remember him stepping on the scale. He stepped on the scale in front of me before that fight with jeans on, and he was 187 pounds with clothes. And he was like, I'm trying to put on weight. I can't put on weight. And it's just, hey,
yeah,
your body's going to perform, I think, better. And finally, I told him, I said, don't worry about the weight. I go, this is not about, you being bigger. It's about you being faster. It's about you doing these things. And, that's what ended up, kind of winning the fight. But I look at, I don't believe that they're going to fight at 185, but I thought it was funny that he put it out like that.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be at 55 either, though. So I would agree with you, probably 70, because what's going to happen is as they get closer to the fight, neither one of them are going to be able to keep that kind of weight on. Now, I wouldn't be surprised. I said this about another fighter, John Jones, when I said, what are we waiting on for the Stipe and John Jones fight? We don't need to see a title with it. Just strip John and then have them fight, have him and Stipe fight. No title. There doesn't need to be one. Okay, let's not get off topic. But my point is, though, is that guys like John Jones, guys like Conor McGregor, I don't need to have an attached title to it. I don't need to have attached weight to it. If you guys can agree it fits at 180 at catch weight, that's what I loved about Bellator. Both fighters were not fighting for a title. They're like, hey, if you guys want to fight at 170 or 165, let's just do that. Why put yourself through the weight cut? They'd give you any weight
you guys agree to.
Yeah, as long as you guys both agreed to it. Hey, what do you guys want to fight at?
What does the weight matter if it's not a title fight? It doesn't matter.
I think Dana's argument has been in the past that then there's no advancement in the division. You can't advance somebody if you're not fighting at 55. Then how can you rank at 55?
Okay, so all right, I'm not saying you're wrong there, and I'm not saying Dana's wrong because it doesn't have a lot of it, but. If you're a 155-pound fighter and you fight at 160, who cares?
Yeah.
You could advance them in the 155s. And let's be honest. If Michael Chandler beats Conor McGregor, where's his advancement? If it's at 155, where's the advancement? Does he go up? He doesn't.
His bank account does.
Conor will obviously come in because he's not even on a list, so he'll have some advancement, I guess, but no, there's no weight only matters when you're talking about title fights.
Yep.
That's it.
What do you think about this fight?
I'm being honest. I know. I've talked with some people that have been around where Conor's been training a little bit, And they say he looks good. They say he's big. They say, he's got, pretty good power. He's hurting people with punches and stuff. And it's like, well, he always did that.
Yeah.
That was never something that, he had a problem doing. So I look and I go, he hasn't fought in a long time. And there's a big difference between, fight speed and training speed, sparring speed, everything we do in the gym speed. It's just different. But I'm going to say Michael Chandler hasn't fought in a while either now. So it's kind of washing it out. There's obviously, Chandler has fought, in a shorter time of frame, I guess, than Conor, but still, it's over a year now. Excuse me. It will be over a year, definitely, by the time he gets back in the cage.
I would have given probably Conor the advantage a little bit. I guess prior to the leg break, but I think the calf kicks and the leg kicks against Chandler are something you really need to use. And people think, because he's got the plate in his leg, he's going to be able to kick. No. It's going to make it worse.
It's going to hurt.
Yeah. I've had a plate in my leg since 2008, 2009. It doesn't make it better. It makes it worse. It's horrible to kick with a plate in your leg. There's no flexion in the bone. It just hurts. If you hit the bone, if you kick them and they check, you could probably break it again pretty easily. That's one. Two is if his bone hits your plate, it's so painful for the fighter who has the plate in. Don't think it's the other way around. I'm sure it hurts them also, but no, it is painful for the person with the metal plate in. So I don't think Conor's going to kick as much as he normally would. In terms of Chandler's always had a problem with southpaws. So that will give him a little bit of a problem in terms of how well Conor moves on his feet. But will Conor be the same fighter as he was previously? Will he have lateral movement like he does? Will he be clean and crisp with his boxing like he has been? Will he do those things? Will he be able to keep that bounce in his step past round 1.5? Because no matter how dumb Michael Chandler fights, and he always looks like he's tired after like a round and a half, he always can take a step back, couple deep breaths, and he pushes on. Yeah. I got to give the guy credit, man. He's got balls. The guy stands in front of you. He will exchange. His chin's not what it used to be, but he still has a good chin. He still can take some big shots. Conor's going to have to land clean and hard to get him out of there. I look at this fight. It really is. I thought you said earlier that the betting odds came out and they have Conor as a favorite, correct?
Yep.
Minus 120?
Minus 120 for Conor.
Look, outside of knowing like how Chandler's going to fight this fight. That's the only problem with betting on Chandler. You don't know how he's going to fight. Does he use his wrestling? Does he not? But even if he does use his wrestling, I don't know if his wrestling, because he doesn't use it as much, is going to be good enough to hold Conor down. If Conor has a fraction of the defense that he had against Khabib, which I don't know if he will, but if he has a fraction of that defense, Chandler's going to have a hard time getting the takedowns. Not only just getting the takedowns, he'll stop trying after one or two efforts. He'll be like, this is just too much. I look at Chandler, and I think he's going to fight on the feet. He's going to keep this thing on the feet the whole time. He's going to try to, he's going to try to switch stances and come in. But I also look at him and the way that Conor fought Eddie Alvarez. If he has the bounce in his step and he can stick and move in that first round, Chandler's going to be winging for the fences and he's going to get tired a little bit faster. He'll become target practice. He always has that ability, John, to land the one big shot. Chandler does. So does Conor. Chandler tends to leave himself out of position a lot more than Conor McGregor. I would lean probably a little bit more towards Conor, but we just don't know which one we're going to get. So it's hard to bet. We don't know which Chandler we're going to get because he doesn't fight smart.
I will tell you right now, I look at the fight, I think it's tailor-made for Conor. Just being honest. You said a couple of things that are absolutely true. Michael Chandler has a hard time with southpaws. They just create a little bit more of a problem for him. If there's one thing that Michael Chandler does, he's very linear in his attacks. He comes straight forward. He doesn't use a whole lot of head movement. It's a straightforward attack. Conor's great with someone that's like that, keeps their head on that center line. and moves towards him because he just takes a nice little step to the side, blip, and then he starts piecing you up. The teep kick, I don't think he's going to attack the leg. I agree with you there. He's not going to kick at Chandler's leg much, but he will use that push kick and that teep kick down the middle. And that is very effective for him. It's like a jab to the body, and he uses it incredibly well. And the way that Michael Chandler is set up, the way he sets himself up, he's just absolutely open for it. And I just look at Conor's got a great chin too. You got to give him credit. He's got a good chin. Mm-hmm. Now, Dustin Poirier, yeah, he knocked him out, but it was the leg kicks and the inability to move and then a little bit of exhaustion with it and all those things. Conor's got a good chin too. And Mike's got the chance of trying to land the big shot, but I don't think one big shot's going to put Conor away. And I look at it and I think that overall, you're going to see Conor McGregor taking that fight.
Oh, heard it here first. Big John, big prediction. Big John, big prediction.
The fact that Michael Chandler hasn't fought in a long time really has changed, because I don't think he's going to be able to wrestle him.
No,
I really don't.
I don't think so either.
He just doesn't use it enough.
All right, what else you got for us, Dave?
All right, let's look at this next one. Jorge Masvidal, man of few words, tweets out unretired. And I was obviously got the MMA world, bare knuckle world, all going crazy. Supposedly a Nate Diaz fight in bare knuckle is on the books, but nothing confirmed.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
nothing confirmed. Yeah. I know some of the confirmed.
Sorry, it's not going to be bare knuckle. I think Nate and George end up fighting in boxing. They're going to fight in boxing. I mean, that's the fight to make. If you're talking about other boxing matches, that's going to be the fight to make. So, I saw that Jake Paul had already come out and said it, just the other day. And I'm not trying to break news, but it was, I think it's been talked about for a long time. These two guys would end up boxing. It would be in a boxing match, not a bare knuckle boxing match. It'll be a real boxing match. No kicks, no grappling, nothing, just all boxing. So I think that's going to happen. And then I think you're also going to see Nate go back to the UFC. I think there is a good chance. This is what gets me a little. This fight with George and with Nate, I think is supposed to happen the end of February. So if that fight happens the end of February.
End of February, beginning of March, yeah.
Okay, end of February, beginning of March.
Yeah.
If that fight happens between Nate and George, that gives Nate plenty of time to train for the end of June. Don't be surprised if Nate Diaz slides in and tries to take
I'm not surprised,
motherfuckers. I mean, look, if you're the UFC, do you want Chandler and Conor or do you want Nate and Conor?
Yep.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. Which one do you want more of?
They're going to want the trilogy.
Yep. And I think Masvidal and Nate's going to happen the end of February, early March. I think it's the end of February. And then I think Nate is probably like, man, you're stealing everything that I worked hard for. I'm coming for it. That's going to be, in fight week. I wouldn't be surprised. So this whole slide to June for International Fight Week has made me believe that maybe that fight won't happen. He said Michael Chandler. I know Conor said Michael Chandler. But I think if you have to put Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor, if you put them in there and you've asked the fans and the people that are going to pay the pay-per-views, they're going to pay more to watch Nate versus Conor than they will to watch Chandler versus Conor. That right there, this is the money-making business.
Huh?
It's the entertainment business, but it's the money-making business. And the UFC, I think, knows what's best for their bottom line. I also think Conor's like, I don't have many more of these left in me. Nate is a winnable fight. We're 1-1. I know he's not going to really try to take me down. Chandler may try to wrestle me, may not. Either way, though, either way, I'm going to tune in for both. But I think that Nate would be the bigger pay-per-view draw.
Probably right. But there's a lot of people that want to see the Chandler fight. I hear people talking
I do.
all the time.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm talking business, though. John, if you're Dana White.
You're talking business. You're saying which one of these is going to be a bigger draw. You've already got two examples, on the books. So you can look at those numbers and say, do I think that the Michael Chandler fight will draw those numbers or more? No.
Well, John, they're 1-1. So, I mean, we wrap the trilogy up. Like, you can put a whole marketing ploy together to say about this is the trilogy. This is the final match. And
I have a poster sitting right here, and it says, anytime, any weight, anywhere with Diaz and McGregor's faces on it. It's a great poster, and it's from, UFC 202. It was their second match. But, you can go off of that and just put together one hell of a marketing thing for that third and final fight.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at, I think.
Well, and you can look at it, and saying, it's the return of Conor McGregor. It's the return of Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
Nate is coming back to the UFC just for this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Conor is, finally coming out of, being injured. And it's his return to the octagon. All these things. Come on.
Yeah.
It could be huge.
I agree. But we're going to see the Masvidal and Nate fight first.
Yes.
All right. What else you got for us, Dave?
Because that was broken on the way in podcast. Oh, well.
All right, let's roll into this last little heartwarming story here. Eric Nicksick was in an interview, and he was talking about getting paid his fee from Francis. And here's a quote from Eric. He says, "It was the most money I've ever been paid by a fighter. It was unbelievable. It was more than I expected. I wasn't expecting, obviously. Francis has always taken great care of me, but it floored me. When I saw my Wells Fargo account that morning, it literally brought me to tears. That's a true story. It literally brought me to tears because he changed my life."
And he deserves it.
Absolutely.
And this is what I'm talking about when I say Francis Ngannou is just a good guy. Because, Josh, there's too many times when you know of fighters, and especially when it gets into the boxing world too, of there's a percentage breakdown for cut men, for different people that are in your corner and stuff, that what they make. And many times, you'll go, all of a sudden they'll get that the boxer will get that big fight and that big money fight, and all of a sudden they'll look at this and say, hey, we're going to change those things. I'm not paying you, with that percentage. And it's like, all this time together, all the things that we've done, all the work, and now you want to change it. And that happens all the time.
Yep.
And so for Eric Nicksick to put out there that, hey, not only did he, pay me the most money that I've ever made, he put me in a position where he literally has changed my life by just this one fight and putting that amount of money into my bank account. I can't tell you how, guys and trainers, they work their asses off. And the ones that are really good, that don't care about the limelight, that only care about the performance of the fighter, that put the fighter first, that do all the things the right way, man, they're worth their weight in gold. And I just love the fact that Francis Ngannou did that for Eric Nicksick. I'd like to see it done for all of the good ones, because the good ones are special.
Yeah,
they deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, I can list off a couple of the good ones right off the top of my head. Mike Brown being one of them.
And you can
Eric
list off
Nicksick,
a bunch of bad ones.
Henry Hoof, like those are the three that I come right off the top of my head. Javier Mendez, like those four trainers. And I know, like I've heard nothing but great things about Greg Jackson and everybody else. I'm not knocking any trainers whatsoever. They put in the work. They're there at fights. They're like, man, they're at fights that like the fighter's just grown attached to them, that they're like, I've barely worked with you, but like you have something with me. So, okay, I'm going to come. Those are, but what I want to talk about really with this, John, though, is that when things like this happen, this allows the trainers now to really focus on being a trainer for all the other fighters. When you have one person that shines like this with Francis Ngannou and Eric Nicksick, Francis paying him out, now it gives. And I read this with Cub. Cub brought it up too. And I'm glad that he brought it up because I was thinking this the whole time. But Cub said, this gives him an opportunity now to just focus and not have a day job and not have to worry about, man, do I got to go to work or I got to do side jobs, whatever it is. I can now just focus on being a coach to all the other fighters that I represent. Those are the important things right now. That's all I want to do. When someone loves it as much as Eric Nicksick, and you can see it the way he talks about his guys when we talk to him, it's not even have to be like in front of people. It's just us behind closed doors, just talking to him. This guy's so great. This guy, this guy, that. Like, he has nothing but great things to say about his guys that he works with. And for him to get a big purse like this and potentially an even bigger one coming up, I mean, now he can really focus on doing things for his family. Because, look, it's hard as a coach to not realize when your next big payday is coming in. That's one. Two is, like, can I buy a house yet? Can I not buy a house? I don't know if he owns a house or not. But I'm saying, like, you know, if you're coming up like that, I don't know when my next big talent's going to come. I don't know if my talent's going to get hurt at training and never fight again. I can't go out and buy these houses. I can't go out and buy a house and put my family in it and not know whether we can afford it. There's a lot that goes into this. And when he said he's changed my life, I mean, that I heard that. I felt that. I felt that. Yeah, I felt that when he said that. I'm like, because there were several moments in my career where for me, it was life-changing money. It wasn't Conor McGregor money. It wasn't, $1 million.
Francis Ngannou money.
No, it wasn't Francis Ngannou money. I mean, it wasn't even $1 million. Like, it wasn't even $1 million, but I made good money. It was definitely, and living in the Bay Area, it was not cheap. And so just seeing how much money I was able to bring in, like, that to me was life-changing. But it also made me stay focused on what my goals were, because now I owned a house. Now I own this. Now I own that. Now it seemed like more money, the more responsibilities I put on myself. But it was life-changing money. And it was great to hear. I was reading this and I was like, man, this is really cool. And like I said, Cub Swanson had also commented about how people don't talk enough about how fighters that take care of their coaches, it gives them an opportunity to continue to do what they love. Just like them training you to do what you love. It's the same thing. You guys are two peas in a pod. You guys work together. You guys make each other better. And it's great to see, because Eric's a great guy, man. Absolutely great guy. I've met Francis, but I never hung out with him or anything like that, so I can't speak too much on him. But you've said nothing but great things about him. So I kind of like you, so I kind of take your word for it.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
What else, Dave? Dave, what else you got?
We'll wrap up on that one.
Oh, no, Dave. No, we're not wrapping up on that.
Not
Dave,
that.
Dave,
come on, Dave.
There's one thing we got to wrap
the
up
glasses
on.
are on.
Yeah.
The glasses are on.
Dave,
Josh is pulling up the highlight reel.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, the 18-inch dick.
No.
John,
there
what
was
went
there
through
was
your
one
mind?
thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. There was something we talked about earlier.
Yes,
wanted
the one. There you
we
go.
wanted to share.
You don't want to talk about the Mexican guy with the 18-inch? Come on, guys.
Hold on. I want you to think about this. Josh sends us a thing with this poor Hispanic guy who has
well
a
endowed.
Disease. It's not well endowed, dude.
That's a curse.
Just think about trying to run.
Jeez, man. There's just no way.
He's got to tie his dick to his leg.
So fucked
That's
up.
just horrible.
18 inches. Only had sex once in his life. That's when you know it's a curse. Only had sex once in his life.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how many girls he got into the room, and then they were like, "Let me see that thing," and he fucking whipped it out, and they're like, "This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work."
It is not.
Man, they called it a disease. I was like, "Oh man,
it is a disease.
That's a blessing." And then I realized it's not a blessing. As I was watching more of the actual story on it, I was like, "No way, bro. That's horrible, horrible." All right, let's go ahead and talk about Sean Strickland. Let's go.
Yeah, so second time now he's posted a picture of his speed that he's doing in his Tesla. So I don't know if it's the smartest thing to put on Instagram, but he did post in the last 24, 48 hours that he was doing 135 miles an hour.
That's nice.
We talked about it, and it wasn't so much the Sean Strickland thing, but it was the fact you guys had stories to share as well. So that was kind of the purpose of bringing this up.
Well, John, I mean, Dave, what's the fastest you ever driven, Dave?
I've been a passenger at 140 for a few seconds, kind of shit my pants a bit and said, never again.
You were the passenger.
Yeah.
You were the passenger. I feel like being the passenger was probably worse than being the, well, I can't, because I was up to 150 as the passenger, 151, 152. The fastest I've ever gone, John, I know yours is going to beat me because you're a cop and this is what you guys do, is
It's nothing to do with being a cop, dude. Trust me. None of my fast times have anything.
Man.
I was looking out for cops.
Okay, buddy. I believe you. So I was on the what's the highway? Is it 15 or 215 that goes on around Red Rock?
215.
215. So I was on 215. It was me and Bobby Southworth, and Mike Swick was in another car. We both had rented Lambos. So one of our sponsors had rented us some Lambos, and we went out that back way, and we were out there. Bobby drove first, got us up to about 152, 53. I was like, all right, I think it was maybe even up to close to 154, somewhere around there, as I recall. And he was driving, and I was a little nervous. I'm like, how's it feel? Everything felt fine. We were in a convertible Lambo too. So anyways, we get out there, and I'm like, all right. So we switch cars. I drive. John, this is the funniest, but the scariest, but funniest story I think I can tell is that I get this thing up to 172, 73, somewhere in there, right? And I'm like, I start to feel it was real hot. It was probably about 106, 107 degrees that day, maybe a little bit more. Anyways, I started feeling the car kind of drift a little bit lane to lane. So I'm like, I'm cruising at this speed about 170, 171. I look in the rearview mirror. There's this guy on a Gixxer. I'm passing cars. He comes right up next to me, takes one hand off the handlebars and flips me off, and then takes off. And he left me there like I was standing still. Yeah. John, I'm doing 170, and this guy takes his hand off the handlebars on a Gixxer, flicks me off, and just takes off. He goes, looks back, floors it, and he is gone. Holy shit. I was more impressed. As soon as that happened, I just slowly let off the gas because I started drifting lanes, and I was like, oh, this is getting a little too scary. That guy, though, what kind of balls do you have to be doing 170 and take your hand off the damn handlebar?
Taking your hand off, because trust me, it's just even bringing yourself up off of the tank, because it's a lot of wind. The fastest I've ever been on a motorcycle, I had a motorcycle. I had all kinds of fast motorcycles because I've always loved speed, and I've had the Hayabusas, and I had a Kawasaki ZX 1400, and I turbocharged it, and it would do I got it up to about 215. Yeah. And dude, it was, because I mean everything is down, everything's in tight and everything, and man, things are just as it's going by, right? And as soon as you decide to let off and you flare your legs out and your head comes up, it's like you're like a parachute, right? And it's just slowing down fast. But 215 was the fastest I've been on a motorcycle. 200 in a car. I used to travel whenever I do fights in Vegas. I would always do the fights, and I would drive there, and then I would go home right after the fights, and I would go have dinner with guys or something like that. But we'll say 1 o'clock in the morning, I would take off, so I would get home by, well, you got to figure I was living in Valencia at the time, and I would try to see if I could break my time record. And the fastest I ever got there was 2 hours and 41 minutes. I made it from Vegas to Valencia. If you break that down, that's averaging with every stoplight, with everything that you have, that's averaging about 100 miles an hour the entire way. And I would go on the downhill. At one point I had a Corvette Z06, 7-liter engine. And it ran great, and I did a couple things to it. But on the downhill on the 15, I could get it up to 200, 201 right at, and it wouldn't go any faster. But it was the same thing. It almost felt like it was getting light and everything.
No thanks, man.
Oh, dude, I love speed, and that's why I never wrote tickets. I would be a hypocrite. I broke every damn speed law there was.
There's just no way, man. There's
so 135. Yeah,
jeez.
Sean.
Yeah,
come on, baby. Step on the
no, Sean. Don't step on the gas.
I would say step on the gas, but
that's
an accelerator.
That's accelerator. All All right, guys. Look, I know we kind of rambled a little bit in the beginning, but I just want to talk about, the past 2023 and talk about kind of what the expectations are for 2024. I expect a good year for 2024 and a positive year. I want to make sure that we all understand that there's a lot of things going on around the world. We're alive. We're around our loved ones, and just keep enjoying that and be happy. Be happy for what you have. A lot of people sit at home and pray for what you have. And they wish they had what you had. So just take that into account and be happy, and wake up the next day and live another life, another day, another life. All right. So I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. Hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the thumbs up and the notifications, also the little bell there. And before we go to weighingthemerch.com, pick up some of our apparel, hoodies, hats, all that stuff is up. We want to thank you guys. John, take us away, bud.
For everyone out there, I hope the start of your 2024 is fantastic and only continues to improve. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you.